In the sprawling ports of Dalian, China, a historic deal has just been sealed, one that would have been unthinkable just 2 decades ago. Japan, a nation that once dominated the world shipbuilding industry with an iron grip, has placed a major order with Chinese shipyards. This isn't just another business transaction. It's a symbolic moment that captures a seismic shift in global manufacturing power. The announcement came from China State Shipbuilding Corporation, confirming that they had signed a contract with NBP, a subsidiary of Nippon Yusen Kaisha, one of Japan's most prestigious shipping companies. The deal? 4 massive deck transport vessels, each weighing 33,000 tons, with a total value reaching $150 million. For Dalian Shipbuilding, this marks their flagship contract of 2025. But more significantly, it represents the first major shipbuilding partnership between China's state-owned shipbuilding giant and Japan's elite shipping operators. Industry analysts are calling this a watershed moment. According to maritime sector insiders, the contract follows a 2+2 structure, 2 confirmed vessels with options for 2 more, all scheduled for delivery by 2027. But here's what's making waves across the industry. Experts believe this is merely the opening chapter. More orders, they predict, will inevitably flow from Japan to China in the coming years. So how did we get here? How did Japan, a country that once built nearly 2 out of every 3 ships launched worldwide, end up placing orders with its regional competitor? What makes China's shipbuilding industry so compelling that even Japan's proudest shipping companies can't resist? Today we're diving deep into this remarkable transformation, exploring the rise, fall, and stubborn reality of the global shipbuilding industry. To understand this dramatic reversal, we need to travel back in time. Throughout the 20th century, Japan's shipbuilding prowess was nothing short of legendary. As an island nation heavily dependent on maritime trade, Japan recognized early on that controlling the seas meant controlling its destiny. Starting in the 1920s, Japanese shipyards began expanding aggressively. During those early decades, Japan had already established itself as a world leader in warship construction, a capability that would prove both a source of pride and, eventually, profound tragedy. After World War II, Japan's shipbuilding industry underwent a remarkable transformation. Stripped of its military ambitions by occupation forces, Japanese shipyards pivoted entirely toward civilian vessels. This transition proved spectacularly successful. By 1956, Japan had overtaken the United Kingdom, then still clinging to its imperial maritime heritage, to become the world's largest shipbuilding nation. The numbers from that era are staggering. By 1969, Japanese shipyards were producing 48.5% of all new vessels globally. Think about that for a moment. Nearly half of every ship launched anywhere on Earth was being built in Japan. But that wasn't the peak. By the mid-1970s, Japan's share had surged past 65%. Statistically speaking, 2 out of every 3 new ships worldwide bore the stamp "Made in Japan." During this golden era, names like Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Kawasaki Heavy Industries, Mitsui Shipbuilding, and Hitachi Shipbuilding became synonymous with quality, precision, and innovation. These weren't just companies. They were national icons, representing Japanese manufacturing excellence to the world. Their massive shipyards, with cranes piercing the skyline and steel hulls taking shape along endless berths, symbolized Japan's post-war economic miracle. But empires, whether built on land or sea, rarely last forever. As the 21st century dawned, Japan's shipbuilding dominance began showing cracks. A formidable challenger emerged from the Korean peninsula, armed with aggressive investment and technological innovation. South Korea's rise was built on strategic technological breakthroughs, particularly in specialized vessel construction. Korean shipbuilders made critical advances in membrane technology, developing sophisticated insulation systems like Mark III and No. 96. These innovations proved game-changing for constructing liquefied natural gas carriers, some of the most technically demanding and profitable vessels in the industry. With these new capabilities, South Korea rapidly captured the high-end LNG carrier market, previously dominated by Japan and European builders. The year 2003 illustrated this shift vividly. Global shipbuilding orders reached 1,223 vessels, a modest 2% increase from the previous year. But within that total, South Korea's performance stood out dramatically. Korean yards secured 69 LNG carrier orders, surpassing the 66 received the year before. Their success extended beyond LNG vessels. Orders for liquefied petroleum gas carriers jumped to 84, a 28% year-over-year increase, while container ship orders also climbed by 28%, reaching 144 vessels. Japan suddenly found itself sharing the global stage not with distant European competitors, but with an ambitious neighbor who combined competitive pricing with increasingly sophisticated technology. Then came China. And when China entered the shipbuilding arena in force, the entire industry landscape transformed beyond recognition. After 2012, Chinese shipyards didn't just compete, they overwhelmed. Leveraging massive state investment, economies of scale, and breakthrough developments in new energy vessel technology, China rapidly seized market share that Japan had held for generations. The statistics tell a story of almost unprecedented industrial displacement. By recent counts, China controls approximately 45% of global shipbuilding market share. South Korea maintains around 32%. And Japan? The former giant now holds less than 20%, a devastating decline from its peak of 65% just a few decades earlier. Despite this erosion, Japan hasn't abandoned its shipbuilding industry. Japanese yards continue operating, still seeking orders, still building vessels. But the recent decision by Nippon Yusen Kaisha to order ships from China signals something profound. Even Japan's own shipping companies are looking elsewhere. Let's examine this landmark deal more closely. In March of this year, Dalian Shipbuilding, a flagship yard within China State Shipbuilding Corporation, secured the contract with NBP. The vessel specifications reveal why this order matters beyond symbolism. These 33,000-ton deck carriers aren't ordinary cargo ships. They're highly specialized vessels designed specifically for transporting massive modular equipment. Their expansive deck designs and exceptional load-bearing capacity make them ideal for carrying oversized cargo, offshore wind turbine components, petrochemical processing modules, and other industrial megastructures that simply won't fit on conventional vessels. This ship class represents the future of specialized logistics, particularly as the world transitions toward renewable energy infrastructure. Offshore wind farms require transporting gigantic turbine components across oceans. Modular petrochemical facilities need moving enormous prefabricated sections to remote locations. These deck carriers fulfill needs that standard container ships or bulk carriers simply cannot. The vessel design comes from Shanghai Ship Research and Design Institute, another entity under the China State Shipbuilding Corporation umbrella. Dalian Shipbuilding handles the production design and actual construction. The delivery timeline targets 2027, when these vessels will join NBP's fleet, replacing aging ships and supporting the company's transition toward greener, more efficient operations. NBP holds a unique position in Japanese shipping. It's the only Japanese company operating heavy-lift vessels and specialized deck transport ships, giving it prominence in module transportation, project logistics, and bulk logistics sectors. The company serves global clients undertaking massive infrastructure projects, exactly the market segment demanding these specialized carriers. For NBP, this order represents strategic fleet modernization. The company aims to enhance its competitive position by offering clients more efficient, environmentally compliant logistics solutions. And critically, they've chosen Chinese shipyards to make this vision reality. This raises the uncomfortable question, why can't Japan build these ships itself? Has the nation that once dominated global shipbuilding completely surrendered this industry? The answer is more complex than simple defeat. It's not that Japanese shipbuilding companies refuse to construct these vessels domestically. Rather, they've systematically lost the capability to build such advanced ships competitively. The roots of this decline trace back to government policies implemented during the 1970s oil crisis. Facing economic turmoil, Japanese authorities introduced the Specific Ship Preparation Adjustment Law, legislation that strictly controlled shipbuilding production capacity. The stated goal was stabilizing the industry during difficult times. The actual result was far more damaging. Under this regulatory framework, the government mandated a brutal capacity reduction program. Shipbuilding companies were required to dismantle 35% of their slipways and dry docks, the fundamental infrastructure needed for building ships. Between 1980 and 1988, Japanese shipyards closed approximately half of their slipway capacity. Imagine a runner cutting off his own feet to prevent running too fast. That's essentially what Japan's shipbuilding industry did to itself. The devastation continued with the establishment of the Shipbuilding Facilities Association in 1988, which imposed production capacity caps on individual companies. These restrictions eliminated flexibility, preventing yards from scaling production up or down in response to market demand. When global shipping markets eventually recovered and orders surged, Japanese shipyards found themselves unable to respond, hamstrung by their own government's regulations and their self-inflicted capacity reductions. Capacity limitations were only part of Japan's problem. Perhaps more critically, the country fell behind in technological innovation during the crucial early 2000s. As the new millennium progressed, global shipping markets increasingly demanded vessels incorporating cutting-edge technologies, particularly LNG carriers with advanced containment systems, and ships designed for environmental efficiency. China and South Korea invested heavily in research and development for these next-generation vessels. Japan, meanwhile, showed surprisingly slow innovation pace. During this pivotal period, while competitors raced ahead developing competitive new technologies, Japan's shipbuilding sector seemed stuck in neutral. The country failed to independently develop technologies that could match or exceed what Korean and Chinese yards were offering. When international clients began demanding smart ships incorporating digital systems, environmental technologies, and energy-efficient designs, Japan consistently lagged in delivering compelling solutions. This technological stagnation created a vicious cycle. As Japan fell behind in innovation, customers increasingly chose Korean or Chinese yards. With fewer orders, Japanese companies had less revenue to invest in research and development. With less R&D investment, they fell further behind technologically. Market share continued shrinking, and the once mighty Japanese shipbuilding industry found itself marginalized in the very markets it had created. If technological obsolescence wasn't damaging enough, recent scandals have further undermined confidence in Japanese shipbuilding. In August 2024, Kawasaki Heavy Industries, one of Japan's most respected manufacturing conglomerates, faced a devastating revelation. Investigators discovered that the company had systematically tampered with marine engine test data. This wasn't a minor clerical error or isolated incident. It represented fundamental dishonesty in quality assurance processes, the very foundation of manufacturing credibility. Japan's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism responded by conducting on-site inspections at Kawasaki Heavy Industries' Kobe plant. The company issued public apologies, but the damage to reputation proved severe. Kawasaki Heavy Industries' stock price tumbled to $32 per share, a 1.32% single-day drop, with losses of 19.37% over the previous month. The company's total market valuation sank to approximately $5.63 billion. More than the financial hit, the scandal exposed deeper problems. technological inadequacy masked by fraudulent data and fundamental breakdowns in quality control systems. For an industry where safety and reliability are paramount, where a single engine failure at sea can endanger lives and cargo worth hundreds of millions, such dishonesty is unforgivable. The incident reinforced growing perceptions that Japanese shipbuilding had lost not just its technological edge, but also its once unimpeachable reputation for quality and integrity. Today's statistics paint a sobering picture of Japan's shipbuilding collapse. The industry share of global new ship orders has plummeted below 5%, a catastrophic fall from its 65% peak. Many Japanese yards struggle to secure even 50 new ship orders annually. For perspective, major Chinese yards individually handle more orders than Japan's entire industry combined. This explains why even Japan's own shipping giants, companies that once exclusively supported domestic shipyards out of national pride, now seek partnerships with Chinese builders. It's not preference, it's necessity. The ships they need simply can't be built competitively in Japan anymore. And this isn't an isolated case. The NBP order represents a broader trend. In February 2025, another Japanese shipping company, Toyofuji Kisen Kaisha, placed orders with Chinese yards for 4 new vessels, each with 82,000-ton deadweight capacity, also scheduled for 2027 delivery. Currently, Toyofuji Kisen Kaisha has 8 vessels under construction across Chinese and Japanese yards, including 2 ultra-large container ships, 2 Panamax bulk carriers, and 4 Ultramax bulk carriers. Industry experts increasingly believe this NBP cooperation marks just the beginning. As successful deliveries build trust and demonstrate capability, more Japanese shipping companies will inevitably turn to Chinese shipbuilders. Trust in business relationships develops gradually through proven performance. China is systematically building that trust, one delivered vessel at a time. Some observers might wonder, if Japan needs foreign shipyards, why not choose South Korea, a closer ally sharing democratic values and security concerns? The answer lies in market realities. While South Korea remains competitive in specific niches, particularly liquefied gas carriers, where Korean yards still claim about 53% market share compared to China's 46%, China has achieved overwhelming dominance across virtually all other vessel categories. In oil tankers, bulk carriers, and car carriers, China commands minimum market shares of 75%. For most ship types, Chinese yards don't just lead, they overwhelm competitors. The December 2024 order statistics illustrate this dominance starkly. Globally, 86 large vessels were ordered, totaling 1.94 million gross tons. Chinese yards secured 67 of those ships, representing 1.66 million gross tons. South Korea? Just 3 ships totaling only 70,000 gross tons. For 2024 overall, China's shipbuilding industry captured a staggering 70% global market share, with total transaction values approaching $1 trillion. This isn't merely leading the industry, it's achieving near monopolistic dominance. South Korea's shipbuilding decline, well, it actually stems from different factors than Japan's self-inflicted capacity reductions. Korean yards are facing severe labor challenges that have really crippled production capacity, even though they still have technological competence. The prolonged downturn in South Korea's domestic economy has forced major shipbuilders, like Hyundai Heavy Industries, into continuous, painful structural adjustments. These reorganizations have triggered massive workforce reductions. The data here really reveals the human cost. At its peak in 2014, South Korea's shipbuilding industry employed approximately 200,000 workers. By November 2022, that number had collapsed to fewer than 95,000, a devastating 52% reduction in just 8 years. This workforce hemorrhaging directly impacts production capacity and efficiency. According to the Korea Shipbuilding Association, labor shortages combined with rapidly rising labor costs have driven unprecedented declines in Korean shipyard output. Experienced welders, fitters, and engineers, workers who require years to train, have left the industry, and honestly, they won't easily return. You can build new dry docks relatively quickly, but rebuilding a skilled workforce takes generations. So, when Japan looks abroad for shipbuilding capacity, South Korea simply can't absorb the additional orders. Only China possesses the combination of massive capacity, competitive technology, affordable pricing, and available skilled labor to handle enormous market share. So, what makes China's shipbuilding success so overwhelming? Several factors really converge to create nearly unbeatable competitive advantages. First, scale. Chinese shipyards operate at production volumes that just dwarf competitors. This massive scale generates economies that drastically reduce per-unit costs. When you're building dozens of similar vessels simultaneously, you can negotiate better prices on steel, engines, electronics, and every other component. You can also specialize your workforce. With teams becoming extraordinarily efficient at specific tasks, they perform again and again. Second, government support. China's shipbuilding industry benefits from coordinated state backing, subsidized financing, infrastructure investment, research funding, and preferential policies that Western competitors often characterize as unfair advantages. Whether fair or not, this support enables Chinese yards to bid aggressively for contracts while still maintaining profitability. Third, technological advancement. China has systematically closed the technology gap that once separated it from Japanese and Korean shipbuilders. In green energy vessels, ships powered by liquefied natural gas, methanol, or hybrid systems, Chinese yards now lead innovation. For specialized vessels like the deck carriers ordered by NBP, Chinese designers offer solutions matching or even exceeding anything available elsewhere. Fourth, manufacturing integration. China's broader industrial ecosystem provides shipbuilders with readily available components, from massive diesel engines to sophisticated navigation electronics. This vertical integration reduces costs and speeds up construction timelines. Fifth, workforce availability. While Korea faces labor shortages and Japan's capacity remains limited, China maintains vast pools of skilled shipyard workers. These aren't just laborers, but trained welders, engineers, and technicians capable of executing complex construction projects to exacting international standards. The implications of Japan ordering ships from China, honestly, extend far beyond simple bilateral trade. This shift signals a fundamental restructuring of global manufacturing hierarchies, one where historical leadership provides no protection against economic forces and technological evolution. For Japan, this represents a humbling but perhaps necessary acknowledgement of reality. Japanese shipping companies need modern, efficient vessels to compete globally. If domestic shipyards can't provide those vessels competitively, business logic demands looking elsewhere. National pride just can't trump economic necessity indefinitely. For China, these orders represent validation. After decades of being dismissed as a producer of cheap, low-quality goods, Chinese shipbuilders now win contracts from the world's most demanding customers based on technical capability, not just low prices. This really represents industrial maturation, the transition from made in China to created in China. For the global maritime industry, this concentration of shipbuilding capacity creates both opportunities and vulnerabilities. Having one nation control 70% of global shipbuilding capacity generates enormous efficiencies and competitive pricing. But it also creates strategic dependencies that could prove problematic during periods of geopolitical tension. Standing on Dalian's shipyard docks, watching Chinese workers begin construction on vessels destined for Japanese shipping companies, one can't help but reflect on how dramatically the world has changed. Just 50 years ago, this scenario would have been unimaginable. Japan buying ships from China seemed about as likely as Switzerland importing precision watches from elsewhere. Yet here we are. The workshops that once echoed with Japanese riveting hammers now resound with Chinese industrial symphonies. The nation that perfected shipbuilding during its economic miracle now watches its orders flow westward across the East China Sea. This isn't simply a story of one nation's decline and another's rise. It's a reminder that industrial dominance is never permanent, that complacency breeds obsolescence, and that the global economy shows no loyalty to historical reputations. Japan's shipbuilding industry fell not because Chinese workers were inherently superior, but because Japan's policies restricted capacity precisely when flexibility was needed, because technological investment slowed when acceleration was crucial, and because pride sometimes obscures necessary adaptation. As these Chinese-built vessels eventually sail under Japanese flags, they'll carry more than cargo. They'll carry lessons about the impermanence of power, the importance of innovation, and the relentless logic of global markets that respect only capability, not legacy. The era of Japanese shipbuilding dominance has ended. The age of Chinese maritime manufacturing supremacy is well underway, and the ships being built in Dalian today will sail those waters for decades to come, silent testaments to one of the most dramatic industrial transformations of our time.